Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, we're going to be breaking down all 14 fights from a DFS perspective that is happening this Saturday, July 18th, I believe. UFC Austin, headlined by Calvin Kattar and Josh Emmett. So this one's going to be an absolute banger. There's some really good fights on this card, and like I said, we've got 14 of them to break down, so let's get going, guys. First things first, if you play DFS of any kind, which you do, because that's why I assume you're watching this, otherwise, I mean, I am super handsome, but not that handsome. Get on over to teamriserfall.com right now. We have DFS experts of every sport playing over there, giving you, Discord information, giving you all kinds of stats, edges. We've got literally every single sport from football, baseball, esports, everything you can think of. Right now, if you're just like me, pretty much playing MMA, you got a week to wait in between. And I know you start scratching yourself on Wednesday, like, I need some action. Well, get on over to teamriserfall.com. You can be busting some takedowns in other sports other than MMA. So there's some experts, like I said, in every single one. Use code MONK, MONK, receive $10 off a subscription today. Now, let's get right into it, guys. 14 fights. I mean, we got a lot to cover. First fight of the night so far. I don't know if things are going to change around, blah, blah, blah. But as of now, I believe, according to Marcel, at Marcel Dorf, I believe is his handle, but you know who I'm talking about, the man when it comes to fight card lineups. That's where I get this information. Phil Hawes going against Winn. Winn has not seen action in the UFC in almost a year and a half. 2-2 in the UFC total. Let me move my monitor here so I'm not stretching out of frame. All crooked. $7,200 for Winn. He has some decent DraftKings numbers, though. 4.53 points a minute, 112 when he wins. That is first overall on the card. Does only give up 2.62 points a minute and 78 when he loses. He's 1,000, almost 1,100 under his average salary. Has a good average value of 9.64. I mean, there are some really good numbers here from Winn. 47.5 points over on average over 2 losses. So the second highest DraftKings points per loss rate that we have. He has the highest ceiling on the card. There are some great numbers here actually for Winn. However, he's given up 6 inches of height supposedly and 7 inches of reach to Phil Hawes. $9,000, training out of Sanford MMA. 4.7 points a minute, outscoring Winn. 106.28 when he wins, second best on the card. Has a better defensive rate, or defensive pace, I should say, than Winn, 2.2 a minute, but gave up 108.69 when he did lose. He's 350 over his average and 9.78 average value. So some very good numbers here. I love, love, love this fight for DraftKings, for GPPs especially. These two salaries are fantastic as well. $9,000, $7,200. $7,200 is sneakily one of the best underdog salaries you can play, especially in that lower range. And $9,000 is one of the best in the $9,000 range that you can play. That and like $9,500 are pretty much your go-tos there. So I absolutely love this fight. Phil Hawes, I mean, the other stats that I'm going to give you, 1.72 points per minute in takedowns and control time. I mean, come on. Winn scores over 2 points a minute himself in takedowns and control time, but is he going to be able to get Phil Hawes down is the question. I think whoever wins this is going to score very well. Not sure. Let's see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Strength of schedule is huge. Phil Hawes has a fantastic, I should say, strength of schedule. 4-1 in his last 5. These numbers need to be over 70 to be, pretty relevant. 70 to 75 is good. He is over 75 in 3 of 4 categories. Fantastic strength of schedule. Winn, the opposite of that, right around 60 to 65 in all 4 of these categories. So not fighting the best quality opponents. We've got Arroyo, Mearshart's fantastic, Darren Stewart, Eric Spicely compared to Chris Curtis, Kyle Daukaus, Imavov, and Jacob Malkoun. So some pretty, decent names there for Phil Hawes, just coming off that loss, that first round KO loss to Chris Curtis, who's really proven to be something in the UFC here off, after couple 2 fights, I believe. Here are my projections. So whatever you think is going to happen, here's how I think it will score. And then the DraftKings visual statistical recap and aggregate career UFC finishing percentages. Pretty good real estate here for Phil Hawes. Winn has no UFC finishes. So a big chunk of his pie taking out there. Computer Monk probably thinks this one will go the distance. Or actually, I don't know. He might think that it finishes inside. We'll have to check that out. I will go over Computer Monk's picks at the end of this video, so stick around for that for sure. How am I playing this one? 9,000, 7,200. Well, as I've already alluded to, wait, is this fight number 2? Why does this say fight number 2? Oh, I didn't change. Oh, shit. That's right. I didn't change something. It doesn't matter for this video, actually. I'm going to be playing both sides. I like the Phil Hawes side a lot. I think he does win. I like, his size over Duran Winn could play a huge factor here. So I do like the 6-inch height and 7-inch reach advantage. Phil Hawes actually as well, 100% takedown defense. Meanwhile, Duran Winn, 0% takedown defense. So who knows if that will play a part in this. Phil Hawes could easily control him, go all 3 rounds, and put up a decent score here. He could also possibly knock out Duran Winn, although that has never happened. But in Duran Winn's career, but he has been knocked down, so that is a possibility. I'm playing both sides of this. I like the Phil Hawes side. I'll probably be higher on him, but the $7,200 salary Duran Winn, I will have some of him in my lineups. I like Phil Hawes to win though, for sure. Kyle Daukaus going against Roman Dolidze, second fight of the night. Kyle Daukaus coming off of a optimal lineup fight where he was $8,800 and made the optimal over Jamie Pickett, just subbing him right before the bell at the end of the first round. He comes in $100 cheaper this time, although $580 over his average salary. 3.55 points a minute, 104.28 when he wins. These are great numbers here from a Mr. Kyle Daukaus. Roman Dolidze, Mr. Steal Yo Girl on the other side, $7,500. Another great offensive pace, 3.54, so he's right behind Kyle Daukaus by 1/100th of a point. 95 when he wins. His defensive pace is where he shines, though. 1.41 points per minute, second best on the card. Allowed only 51.25 when he lost. That's the best number on the card, and that was against Trevin Giles back in March of 2021. So some great numbers here from Dolidze. He's also coming in 1,050 under his average salary, average value of almost 9.5. I mean, these numbers are great. 2/3 of his wins over 66%, or sorry, over 90 points. I mean, Kyle Daukaus on the other side, 100%. So both of his wins rather over 90 DraftKings points. Daukaus scoring 1.74 points a minute in takedown and control time. Dolidze scoring 1.68 points a minute in takedowns and control time. This one is going to be good. I'm kind of leaning Roman Dolidze, honestly. The size is very similar here. Daukaus might be a bit taller, but Roman does have pretty long arms for his body, for his height, I should say. That did sound kind of weird. I don't know. But I just think Roman could control him here, could control Kyle Daukaus. The strength of schedule is pretty even, although you got to give it to Daukaus. I just want to take a look at a little stat matchup here, some control time. So let's see here. Daukaus, 83% takedown defense. Dolidze, only 37.5. That could definitely be an issue. However, look at the control time here. Roman Dolidze fighting just under 50% of his time inside the distance, controlling 87.96% of that grappling time. Daukaus spends more time inside the distance, but controls 22%, almost 23% less of the grappling time there. So, my point is Dolidze, no slouch when it comes to grappling whatsoever. I kind of like him in this fight, to be completely honest. I think he's going to be able to control Kyle Daukaus, and if that's the case, this is probably going to decision. And at that point, Dolidze has just as good a shot as Daukaus does to win, especially if he's banked up some control time. Hopefully he does some damage while he has some control time, because what we've seen lately from the judges, they don't like when you just sit there and control your guy, aka Brendan Allen, Jacob Malkoon, blah, blah, blah. We could go on and on for a few fights the last couple of weeks. Here are my projections and the DraftKings visual recap. Pretty even there with a huge part for Dolidze because he has a higher winning percentage in the UFC. Let's see, 3 of 4 wins compared to just 2 of 5, I should say. Or no, 1 of 2 finish win percentage. Guys, I don't even know what numbers I'm looking at anymore. Aggregate professional career finishing percentages pretty good here. 80% in their wins in their career, 40% in the UFC, and neither one has ever been finished in a loss. So I'm sure Computer Monk thinks this one is going the distance. I kind of like Roman Dolidze here. I like the underdog play. 7,500 is going to be easy to get to. I will have some Kyle Daukaus though, because that submission upside. Dolidze never been submitted in his career. Neither one of these guys has ever been submitted as of yet. So I don't know. I tend to think this one goes the distance. Might be more of a cash game play. I just don't think either one of them is going to score very well. That said, Kyle Daukaus 104.28 per win, and that's over Jamie Pickett where he subbed, and Dustin Stoltzfus where he scored 100 or 91 in a decision. So that's not probably going to cut it at $8,700. So I'll be a little bit lower on Daukaus maybe than the field, but I'll definitely be higher on Dolidze. Next fight. We got to try to speed it up here. Cody Stamann, Eddie Wineland. Wow. I mean, 9,500 for Stamann, 6,700. If you know me, you know I smash 9,500 salaries constantly. They are the best optimal performers that there is. This one I'm going to be a little trepidatious with, although I think Eddie Wineland is probably done. I won't have him in many lineups at all. GPPs for sure, cash no. And when I say for sure in GPPs, I mean like 10% or less. Most likely, maybe like 20%, just in case he lands that first round knockout over Cody Stamann, who has never won by KO TKO in the UFC. Meanwhile, Wineland has been finished by that method 4 times out of 9 losses. He is 6-9 in the UFC. I don't even know how this fight's happening. I would assume the UFC is giving Cody Stamann a gimme after his previous 3 losses to Rivera, Dvalishvili, and Nurmagomedov. No joke there. So I won't spend a ton of time on this one. I will be playing Stamann in GPPs, but not as heavily as I usually would. I do expect him to come out, and probably win in the first round, honestly. So maybe I'm talking myself into it. Yeah, I guess the probability and the fact that I think Wineland is done, I will be playing Cody Stamann, but I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'm not going to have like 50, 60% of that. I just don't like that look. 83.57 when he wins. Hopefully in a first round finish, he could score well. But let's see, his last win was over Kelleher, unanimous decision, 83.64 points, 3.58 raw DraftKings points a minute. That's right about where he is now. So I like Stamann to win. Let's check out the projections. Strength of schedule is Stamann. But these guys, Wineland's lost 4 of his last 5. His only win was to Grigory Popov. Stamann's won in his last 5 with 1 draw. The Song Yudong, so that's no joke. Here are the projections, very low, as you would imagine. Here's the real estate here. Wineland with a crazy looking graph. Decent finish win rate. 5 KO finishes and 6 wins in the UFC, so pretty good there. And then the aggregate UFC and career finishing percentages. Yeah, not going to spend a ton of time on this one. I like Stamann. I love that $9,500 salary. It's the best one you can possibly play according to the probabilities for GPPs. So I will have some Stamann. Not going to have a ton of Wineland, but Wineland's probably going to be less than 10%. So if you want a leverage play here on what a very small percentage that could happen, early Wineland, catches Stamann with something, there could be some leverage there. So maybe about 15-20% Wineland just to get interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see. Next fight, Danny Chavez, the Colombian warrior, going against Ricardo Ramos. 6-3 is Ramos, $9,300. And I'm going to be honest, I think Ramos wins this one more times than he doesn't. Not too, nothing crazy. He has made the optimal in 1 out of his last 2 fights. Scores only 2.81 points a minute, 80 when he wins. Gives up only 2.29, 97 or 91 when he loses. He's $1,000 over his average salary, which is a bit much. Only 2 of his 6 wins, he scored over 90 points. 1 of those, he scored over 100. Not a very prolific DraftKings scorer here. Danny Chavez on the other side, only 2 points a minute. 73 when he won, almost 74. Gives up 2.65. He's the same amount under his average as Ramos is over his average, $1,033. Average value of 5. This is going to be a cash game play for me for Ramos. I won't have him in a ton of GPPs, probably. Chavez has yet to be finished in the UFC. In fact, he's only been finished in 1 of his 4 professional losses. Looks like a submission. Scores pretty well, especially in takedowns and control time points. What is that? 0.85 points per minute. Again, though, Ramos is better there. 1.14 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Both these guys not giving up a ton. Chavez giving up about double what Ramos is on the ground, though. That could be an issue. Here are the relevant fight statistics, and everything points to Ricardo Ramos here. Chavez has some pretty poor defensive striking numbers, and grappling time, grapple ratio is 0.42, 29% of grappling time controlled. Meanwhile, Ramos is doubling that, over 1.18 to 1 grappling time ratio. His strength of schedule is 10 points better or more in every single category than Danny Chavez, who drew against Kai Kamaka, lost Jared Gordon, and beat TJ Brown. Meanwhile, Ramos losing to Tukugov, beating Bill Algeo, that definitely is aging well, and a loss to the undefeated Lerone Murphy. Here are my projections. Very low for the most part, especially in decisions. Ramos, much better graph everywhere except for that grappling points per win from Chavez, just sticking out there just a little bit. And then the aggregate finishing percentages, very low. I like this one for cash. Like I said, Ricardo Ramos, 9,300. He's probably going to be one of my better cash plays or bigger cash plays this week. In cash, I like him better than whoever we just talked about at 9,500. Who was that? Cody Stamann. I like him better in cash than Cody Stamann for sure. Danny Chavez, I guess you could play him a little bit in GPPs just in case, something happens and Ramos gets caught. And at 6,900, even if he gets a decision win, he could score very well. Possibly, 11 value, 12 value if we get up to 80 points, the 80, 85 point mark. So I'll have a little bit of Chavez, but I like Ramos especially for a cash play this week. Maybe a little bit in GPPs. As I said, he did make the optimal lineup in one of his last 2 fights, and I believe that would have been the Bill Algeo fight. So he was 7,700, scored 98 points. And it worked out for him. He's significantly more expensive in this one. So that's why I kind of am not thinking he's going to make the optimal. So I like him for cash. Gloria de Paula going against Maria Oliveira. And before we get into it, guys, thank you for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the Monk Maddox channel. We are on the road to 300. You guys killed it with the views and the subscriptions last week while I was in Texas. Man, that pay-per-view week, you guys killed it. So that was my best video of all time, and it's not even close. So thank you so much. Let's get the same one for this one. What do you think? Gloria de Paula going against Maria Oliveira. Don't have a ton for Oliveira. 0-1 in the UFC. She did lose a decision to Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark. $7,000 this week for Oliveira. 2.08 points a minute. 4.66 is what she gives up. 300 under her average salary, but 4.28 average value. There are no good stats here. She gave up 2.47 points per minute in takedowns and control time to Tabitha Ricci. Yeah, nothing good here. Gloria de Paula on the other side, 1-2 in the UFC, $9,200 for a 1-2 fighter. Her one win, she did make the optimal, but her average salary, she's 1,100 over that. 1,167 over her average. She scores 2.39 points a minute. 3.42 is what gets scored on her. A big negative differential, not as big as Oliveira's, but 1 point negative differential here. No one here has scored over 90 points. We've only got one win between the two of them. Oliveira allowing 2.47 points per minute in takedowns and control time. Gloria de Paula allowing 1.11 points per minute. I mean, these are terrible numbers on both sides of the scale here. Just absolute garbage numbers. I mean, the strength of schedule is terrible. Maria Oliveira's strength of victory is 0. How is wow. Not entirely sure how that's possible, mostly because I don't want to think about it too much. De Paula has a win over Diana Belbida, lost to Cheyenne Cheyenne Vlismus and Jinyu Frey. Yeah, here are my projections. Pretty low unless you get a finish here. I'm not thinking finish. I mean, these percentages, Oliveira's never finished a win. Yeah, I think this one probably goes to decision. Gloria de Paula probably wins. I'm not paying $9,200 to see any of that. Let's see. Oliveira has been finished in 3 of her 5 professional losses. So that is interesting. De Paula has only been finished once. And that was in the UFC, though, by KO TKO. Who is that against? Vlismus in the first minute. Oh, yeah, now I remember that. So, yeah, I don't like this fight. I'll be big fading this one. I might even have more exposure to Oliveira at that salary. $9,200 is insane. Maybe a cash play if you're on the Glory to Paula side. I probably won't be playing a ton of Oliveira in cash at all. But maybe in GPPs, I might check out what the ownership is and maybe go a bit above that, a couple points, just to see what happens. You know, who knows? She's 0-1 in the UFC. DePaula has been finished in the UFC. You never know. Let's keep it moving. Jasmine Jasud. I can't say it. That's all I did before this was practice for hours. I messed it up, man. Jasmine Jasudavicius going against Natalia Silva. I have no stats for Natalia Silva. She has no UFC fights. She has no Dana White Contender Series fights. She is $7,100 this week. 12-5-1 professionally. She has 10 of those 12 wins are finishes, 3 knockouts, 7 subs. She's been finished 3 out of 5 losses, 2 sub losses, 1 KO loss. What else do I have for her? Absolutely nothing. Her strength of schedule is dog shit, 57, 53. Very, very bad numbers. Her last 5 opponents. Pro record is 20-15. Not good at all. Let's go over to the Jasmine Jasudavicius side, $9,100. What do we get for that? She's 1-0 in the UFC, so definitely we're not getting experience. 15 minutes of fight time here, 3.71 points a minute, 85.72 when she won. Was this against Kay Hansen? It was against Kay Hansen. Only gave up 1.78 points a minute, but again, that was to Kay Hansen. She is $1,700 more than her previous salary. That is almost incomprehensible, to be quite honest. She did score, let's see, 1.4 points a minute in takedowns control time against Kay Hansen and 2 points per minute in striking. Absolutely ridiculous numbers in a good way. Here are some stats, relevant fight stats. Only 2.93 significant strikes landed against per minute. 85% takedown defense. I mean, these are some pretty good numbers. Controlled 81% of the grappling time. These are some pretty good numbers. Her strength of schedule is terrible as well, but better in almost every category, which it better be over Natalia Silva, because those numbers are terrible. As we said, the aforementioned Winn UFC debut win over Kay Hansen, which she scored 85, almost 86 points. Here are my projections. Very low in decisions, as you may imagine. These graphs here are basically non-existent. Well, Silva's literally is non-existent. Here are the professional or just professional career finishing percentages, because there are none in the UFC. 68% of finishes were wins in their pro career, 50% of their losses. Man, I don't know. I want to say this one has decision written all over it, but I just don't know. It's going to be a high variance fight. I'm sure it probably does go to decision, but this is I believe, the lone women's flyweight fight on the entire card. Let's take a look here, see if that's right. Who else do we got? No other women. Yeah, so this is the lone women's flyweight. I say that because this weight class is the best weight class optimal probability of any weight class. 55.17% of the time women's flyweight fight happens, one of them, at least one of them, makes the optimal lineup. That is the highest percentage out of all weight classes. So maybe play some Silva. Maybe we'll see that Karina Silva from a couple weeks ago or last week, or everything's blending together. You know, or the other Silva that came in and beat Poliana Botello via submission. Maybe we'll see something like that from Natalia over Jasudavicius. We just don't know. We have no experience here. So, yeah, trepidatious with this one is the name of the game. Probably Jasudavicius in cash and Silva in GPPs. That's the safe way to play it, I would think. Next fight, Jeremiah Wells going against Court McGee. Another Court McGee fight. Absolutely love it when this guy fights. 10-9 in the UFC. Man, is he a tough guy. $8,200. Has made the optimal lineup in 1 out of his previous 2 fights. I believe that was against, yes, Ramiz Brahimaj. Unanimous decision, in which he scored 110 points. My guy can score here. 3.54 a minute, the 7th highest rate on the entire card. 92.98 when he wins. You know, great numbers. He's $100 under his average salary, so big bonus there. His defensive pace is top 5, 2.2 points a minute, allowing only 76.25 points when he loses. This is over 9 losses. That's the 3rd best number on the card. Fantastically consistent in not giving up points. Now, let's turn that information over to Jeremiah Wells. $8,000. 4.63 points a minute, prolific DraftKings scoring rate, 103.46 when he wins, and that's over 2 UFC wins, allowing only 1.2 points a minute. $50 under his average salary. So we're getting two guys coming in under their average salaries. I absolutely love that. 8,000 and 8,200 are, great salaries to play. You can get to either one of them pretty much at any time. The closest two salaries DraftKings offers, obviously. Yeah, Court McGee not giving up points. Jeremiah Wells scoring a ton of points. So what is going to happen here? I mean, how does Wells score? Decently when he strikes, or in striking rather, almost a point per minute just in knockdowns, and 1.9 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Court McGee, I mean, we have so many takedown and control time numbers that are crazy this week so far. 1.05 points a minute for Court McGee in takedown and control time. I mean, half of his 10 wins, he scored over 90, 3 of them over 110. Meanwhile, both of Wells' wins, he has scored over 90, over 110 in one of them. I mean, these numbers are fantastic. 100% takedown defense for Wells, 60 or almost 70 for Court McGee. Controls 82% of the grappling time. Meanwhile, Wells controls 95% of the grappling time. Court McGee, much better strength of schedule. Here's where we have a big difference. 8 to 10 points in every single category above Jeremiah Wells. That's a huge deal. Huge difference. Last 5 fight history and stats, not looking so good for McGee. He's getting kind of pieced up everywhere compared to Wells in those categories. Let's see, McGee went on a 3-fight skid at least. I only go back to 5 in this one, but has beaten Claudio Silva and Ramiz Brahimaj in his last 2. We'll see how he does against Jeremiah Wells here, who just had that weird win over Blood Diamond where he ran around the cage, slipped and fell, and then Blood Diamond was like, I have no idea what to do, and he did all the wrong things. What an interesting fight that was. DraftKings visual statistical recap. Here are my projections there. Here's the recap. Much bigger real estate for Wells, as you would imagine. But only a 2-fight sample size compared to a 19-fight sample size. Court McGee obviously winning the experience edge. Here are my finishing percentages. Very, very low. 33% wins in the UFC have been finishes. Only 11% of their losses have they been finished. Both very difficult to finish. In fact, Wells never been finished. Court McGee only once. So this one, I mean, according to those stats, probably goes the distance. We probably get a decision. And if we are going to get a decision, I like Court McGee. I just think he's going to score more in a decision. That's why I like that. So I'll take him for cash probably. Maybe Wells and GPP because that 4.63 points a minute and 103 when he wins is crazy. But, I mean, you're not finishing Court McGee. Like, if you do, I'd be shocked. I'd be surprised. So I will be probably under the field on Wells and maybe a bit more than the field on McGee. Don't mind him in GPPs. I just don't think he's going to, I guess we could see a repeat. He could score over 100 points in a decision. That would be fantastic. But I like him more for cash. Next fight. How many more do we have left? 7. We're halfway through. Adrian Yanez going against Tony Kelley. Adrian Yanez, everyone wants him to beat Tony Kelley for numerous reasons, which we won't get into on this podcast, which I do agree with from Yanez. I'm kind of hoping to see that. Let's see here. $9,400. You're going to have to pay for it this week. He has made the optimal in 1 out of his last 3 fights. 3.65 points a minute. Third best number on the card. Scores only 91 when he wins, though. That is an interesting number there. 15th best number on the card, right in the middle. I mean, we're below average at that point. Allows only 2.29 points a minute. Paying 375 over his average salary, but you do get an average value of over 10, which is just what you're looking for. Tony Kelley has made the optimal in his last fight. Team Alpha Male, 3.27 points a minute, 84 when he wins, allows almost 4 a minute, and 114.67 when he did lose. He is 933 over his average, or under his average salary of 6,800, and also has an average value of just right around 10. I mean, you'd be stupid not to think Yanez was going to come out here and box this dude up to death, right? I mean, he's done it in 4. He's 4-0 in the UFC. He's done it 4 times. Split decision over Davey Grant, which, he landed 100 strikes, got hit with 98. Damn good fight there. But I mean, Tony Kelley's coming off of, lost to Kai Kamaka, Ali Alkasi, and Randy Costa, who's, I have some questions about Randy Costa. I think Adrian Yanez is probably a better boxer than Tony Kelley. I don't think that's going out on a limb to say that. I don't know what Tony Kelley's going to do here. Let's go up to some stats. Yanez 100% takedown defense. I don't know. That can't be a ton of takedowns attempted against, though. Kelley controls only 28% of the grappling time. He's spent only 48% of his time fought inside the distance. His grappling ratio is 0.39. So it's not like this guy is something crazy on the ground. His striking defense is terrible, 45%. Yeah. I'm leaning Yanez, 9,400 cash, or both cash and GPPs actually. Here are my projections. Cash, because that if he wins, it's going to be 90 points minimum. That's going to be great. GPPs though, because he could, Tony Kelley never been finished, but there's always that chance. Here are the visual statistical recaps and the finish rates here. Neither one has ever been finished in a loss. 5 losses between them. No finishes. Some decent finishing win percentages, though. I'm going to lean Yanez. I know that's probably biased. We'll see what Computer Monk says at the end of this. But I don't want to see Tony Kelley win or fight anymore, really. Not because of what he said. I mean, it is because of what he said, I guess. But, like, who needs that, man? Really, who needs that shit? Even if that, I guess if that's not really what he meant, I guess it could be in the heat of the moment. He was just literally talking about their team when he said what he said. I'm not putting that on anybody, so let's just forget about that for now. I'm still rooting for Adrian Yanez. 9,400 is expensive to pay, but I will be paying it. Get him in some GPP lineups. Hope for an early finish, first, second round finish, and let's get some good points out of that. But 91 points in a win, that's just not gonna. That's less than 10x if you're $9,400. So that's not gonna do it. I might have more of him in cash than in GPPs. Next fight, let's keep this moving. The Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez going against RoboCop, Gregory Rodrigues. Let's start with the Rodrigues side. $8,500. Has made the optimal in 1 out of his last 3 fights. That was against Junyoung Park, where he almost got finished in the second round and somehow landed a few more shots on Park than he took. 3.48 points a minute is what he scores. 6th best on the card. 97.98 points when he wins. Pretty good there over 2 wins. Gives up only 2.46 points a minute and his opponent scored rather only 81 when he lost. He is 467 over his average salary, 9.68 value. Positive DraftKings points per minute differential. Very good there. 3rd best floor on the card. Let's take a look at Julian Marquez on the other side, who has worse numbers basically everywhere. $7,700. By the way, 77 and 85, one of the best salary pairs to play. This fight's going to be great for GPPs, I think, no matter what happens. 2.23 points a minute, 88 when he wins. Pretty low numbers. Allows 3.78 a minute, which is ridiculously high. But only 78 when he loses, so he is going to decision in that loss, I would imagine. Split decision against Alessio Di Carico, who pops up on people's histories here pretty often on this card, as you'll see as we go along. 1,200 under his average salary, just under 8 average value. I like this fight for GPPs a lot, even though I do think it goes to decision. So maybe I should just take that easy, take it down a notch. Marquez never been finished. Gregory Rodrigues has been knocked out in 2 of his 4 losses. Marquez scores no takedown and control time points in the UFC, but allows, 2.15 points a minute in those categories. Meanwhile, Rodrigues scores 1.22 points a minute in those categories. If Rodrigues can take him down, if he doesn't choose to stand and box with Marquez, or exchange on the feet rather, if he can get this down, there is a chance for a finish, or at least some dominant positions here where he can just win minutes and rack up some control time points after a 5-point takedown. Let's actually take a look at Marquez's get-up time. 76.5 seconds, so 14th best out of 84 middleweights. That is a damn good number. So maybe we can get some rinse and repeat takedowns from Gregory Rodrigues. He should be the taller fighter, the longer fighter, and according to the stats, he is. Strength of schedule is not even close. It is well above Marquez. Rodrigues is well above Marquez in every single category. Last 5 is also going to go to Rodrigues. Marquez beating the likes of Sam Alvey, Maki Pitolo, Darren Stewart. I mean, Gregory Rodrigues, Dusko Todorovic, Junyoung Park, I think is, tough guy. And that very close decision loss, split decision to Armen Petrosyan in his last fight. Damn good fight, which he ended up with just 37 points, but allowed only 81. So we are trending up with Rodrigues and well above his opponent. Meanwhile, Marquez is well below his opponents, but trending up, which you do, hope to see. Here are the projections. Much higher projections for Rodrigues than for Julian Marquez. And then the visual statistical recap. Marquez with the 100% finish win rate. That's 3 UFC finishes. Let's see those real quick. Alvey, Pitolo, and Stewart. Sub. 3 subs. Rodrigues never been subbed. So this could be interesting here. And here is the aggregate career and UFC finishing percentages. Very high in wins, 90 and 80% respectively. No one's ever been finished in the UFC, and only, let's see, 2 of their losses have been finishes, and both of those, as we said earlier, Gregory Rodrigues. How am I playing this one? I'm playing it. I am definitely playing it in GPPs. I'm probably playing it in cash too. I absolutely love this fight. Like I said, this salary pair is fantastic. Someone from the salary pair makes it, I believe it's like 55% of the time. It's something crazy, maybe even 59. Tune in to the MMA Engine Salary Voodoo. No, we don't talk about this fight, but tune into that one anyways, where I did pick, where we do go over 3 fights from a salary perspective. But how am I playing this one? Who am I picking to win? I like the Rodrigues side. 3.48 points a minute compared to 2.2. Almost 100 points a minute compared to just under 90. Give me Rodrigues for GPPs. I guess cash, I might avoid. I'll be lower in cash just because this could go either way. But I will have some Marquez in GPPs as well. I think I'm personally picking Gregory Rodrigues to win. I guess, but I'm not very confident. We'll have to stick around and see what Computer Monk says about that. Marquez has also not fought in over a year, 430 days as of just after midnight on July 14th. So that is a lot of time off. I believe when he last fumbled the bag with Miley Cyrus there. Yeah, against Sam Alvey. So that is quite the layoff. I'm going to be leaning Gregory Rodrigues. We'll have to see what Computer Monk says. Next fight, everybody's talking about this one. Shout out to Uncle Wheezy, who just was live. I believe it's, is it Just the Tip? God damn it. Balls Deep? God damn it. I can't remember. Sorry, Wheezy. It's late for me. He just broke down this fight for like 40 minutes. Damir Ismagulov, Garam Kutateladze. Great breakdown. Shout out to Uncle Wheezy. He did it on the MMA Engine. Like the video, subscribe to that channel as well. So thank you, Wheezy. This one is very interesting. I'm going to be heavy on it. GPPs probably, but cash, I think you pretty much have to have one or the other of these guys in your lineups. It just kind of makes sense. 8,400 for Ismagulov, 4-0 in the UFC, 3.33 points a minute, 90 or set. Wow, 90. 79.97 when he wins. Allows only 1 point per minute, you guys, over 4 UFC fights. That is insane. He's also $900 under his average salary with an average value of 8.6. What is not to like about any of those numbers I just said? Excuse me. The problem is he has not fought in 388 days, so just over a year. But it's not as much of a problem as his opponent, Guram, the Georgian Viking. This guy is a freaking animal. 1-0 in the UFC, $7,800, and I mean that respectively. $7,800. Hasn't fought in over a year and a half, over 600 days. Scored only 1.74 points a minute in his UFC fight. 56 is all he put up in his win against Mateus Gamrot. So very close, or very tough fight, that one, as he has proven to be a very good competitor. 3.70 is what he gave up per minute. He's $500 over his average salary. 7.68 was his value in his first fight. Man, I don't know what's going to happen. This is 2 tough sons of bitches right here. Just from a stats angle, though, I can tell you who Computer Monk's picking. Ismagulov, 1.14 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Guram, what is this? 1.09 points a minute in takedowns and control time allowed. So he's allowing just about what Ismagulov is scoring. And that's only one UFC fight, though. I believe it was 15 minutes. Yeah. Meanwhile, Ismagulov, 1 hour of UFC time. 100% takedown defense for Damir. 68.75 for Guram. Just some really good numbers from Ismagulov. I mean, these are number 1 and number 2 numbers across the board, basically, on this card. Strength of schedule is close, but Ismagulov wins every category, except that strength of defeat. Both are undefeated in their last 5. Let's see. Ismagulov wins over Alves, Moises, Alvarez, and Georges. None of these fights are, I guess a couple of them are close. The Alves one, he was 9,500 in that one, but, handled business. He did get knocked down. So that is something to think about when fighting the Georgian Viking here. Raw DraftKings points per minute. Ismagulov well over his opponent, as you would expect, and trending way, way up. In fact, these graphs aren't even touching. Kutateladze only had 1 fight, so we can ignore that. Decision, I mean, these projections are very low for Kutateladze, as you would imagine. Scoring only 1.7 points a minute. And then Ismagulov over here. Neither man has finished a fight in the UFC, so there's huge chunk taken out here. Kutateladze also has no grappling points, basically, per win, so big chunk taken out there as well. Yeah, 60% finishes in professional wins, 33% finishes and losses. I tend to think this one goes to decision. I don't know what to do here. I mean, maybe Guram comes out after a year and a half and just starches this dude. But he's 23-1 with an okay strength of schedule. Man, I really don't know what to do here. I guess just based on stats, the DraftKings stats for Ismagulov are double what Guram's stats are. So I have to, I guess, play that. I'm playing both in GPPs, though. I'm not going like crazy overexposed to this one. I'll probably have 60% total, maybe 70%. But I'll be playing both sides pretty evenly, I think, because I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to listen to a couple people this week. I'm going to have to watch some tape. But, I mean, 35% and 35% might not be so bad. But GPPs, these guys don't score well at all. So maybe just... I'm going to have to see ownerships on this is what I'm going to have to do. If ownerships are crazy high for both guys, it's just going to be easy to fade both, play well under them, and then play them in cash instead. Look for other alternatives for GPPs, because both these guys could easily be over 30% with 14 fights. And if they're over 30%, I'm going under. I'm going to go to like 20. That's kind of how I'll play that. As far as me, who I'm picking to win, I honestly don't know. I have to do more tape. I guess I'll say Guram right now just because I'm making the decision, but I have no idea. Joaquin Buckley going against Albert Duraev, his second UFC fight for Duraev, $8,600. A great salary pair, this one. Duraev 3.97 points a minute, 90 when he wins. I guess that's only one UFC fight. It did go 15 minutes. Excuse me, he is $600 under his average or his previous salary. 9.74 value, gave up only 2.33 points a minute. Joaquin Buckley, 3.33 points a minute, $7,600 salary, 93 when he wins, gives up 101 when he loses. This is over 2 UFC losses, $667 under his average. So both of these guys coming in significantly under their averages or previous salaries. I like Albert Duraev here. I think the wrestling game, let's see what it is. 1 point a minute in takedowns and control time. Buckley giving up 0.43 points a minute, so nothing crazy. Scoring 0.89 points a minute himself in those categories. But Duraev also scoring 3 points a minute just in striking. Buckley with a much better bonus, 53.75 per win. But when he loses, on average, giving up 67.5 bonus points. The stats here, I mean, much better for Duraev, but we have a much smaller sample size. Only 15 minutes compared to 52 minutes in the UFC cage. Strength of schedule is surprisingly going to Duraev by a few points in every category. This is a great strength of schedule, especially for someone coming off of, with only one UFC fight. These are fantastic numbers here. Duraev beating Kopylov in his last fight where he did get knocked down. That's the one red flag here. One knockdown against still controlled 37% of the fight compared to 2%. Landed a takedown, got a takedown landed on him, but outstruck Roman pretty easily there. Buckley, I mean, split decision over Abdulrazak Alhassan. Antonio Arroyo, he knocked out Jordan Wright, knocked out Ipa Kasanganay, got knocked out by Alessio Di Chirico, and then Kevin Holland in his first fight, I believe, in the UFC. Duraev, I mean, only one fight here, so this doesn't even matter. Buckley coming in over his opponent, averaging more points, but trending down while his opponents trend up. That is very interesting, and we've crossed over in between the Antonio Arroyo and the Abdul Razak Al Hassan side. That was the crossover point, and we are still trending down. Not a good look. Here are my projections and the DraftKings visual statistical recap. Buckley with a much bigger real estate, but he has that finish win percentage there. Duraev only one fight in the UFC, as we said. Here are the aggregate finishing percentages, pretty high there. Computer Monk probably thinks this one will finish inside the distance. I'm leaning Duraev. I'll have both of these guys in GPPs probably, but I'm definitely leaning Duraev to win, and I'm leaning Duraev in cash. An 86 and 76, like I said, fantastic salary pair. Poco main event, Tim the Dirty Bird Means going against the aforementioned Kevin Holland. 8,900 for Holland, 73 for Tim Means. 3.32 points a minute is what Means scores on average. 91.54 points when he wins. He's also got 24 UFC fights that we're getting this data from. So 2.65 points a minute is what he allows. 92 when he loses. $1,600 under his average salary. My goodness. Tim Means with an average salary of $8,900. That is impressive. 7.31 average value. So some pretty decent numbers there. You'd like to see that points per win a bit higher, but what are you going to do? Kevin Holland, 3.14 points a minute, 101.81 when he wins. Gives up more than that, 3.32 and 109 when he loses. 414 over his average salary, and he is $8,900 this week. I mean, what do we do here? Computer Monk says I should, probably pick Tim Means, but I just don't know, or bet on Tim Means. There's pretty much no value on the Kevin Holland money line side, which I don't even know what it is. Let's take a look. Why not? Minus 253 is what it was earlier today on the aggregate. So we might be around minus 260 at this point. Or maybe it's coming down 240. Who knows? But either way, that's too wide for me. 2/3 of Kevin Holland's fights or wins, 6 of 9 wins, he scored over 90. 4 of them over 100 and 3 over 110, so a pretty good score there. Tim Means, meanwhile, 64% of his wins over 90, 43% over 100, and 21 over 110. Not too bad. Some huge takedown and control time numbers is what he's giving up. Almost 1 point a minute. Kevin Holland gives up almost 2 points a minute in those categories. This one you probably... Man, I would say play it for GPP, but I think this one goes to decision more times than it doesn't. Strength of schedule is very similar. Tim Means with the much better statistics over Kevin Holland, though. That is very interesting. Tim Means 3 in a row over Dalby Perry and Staropoli. Holland beating Oliveira, but a rough go of it the 3 before that, losing to Brunson Vittori and the no contest accidental headbutt against Kyle Daukaus, who's also fighting on this card. Here are the raw DraftKings points per minute graphs. Holland under his opponents and trending up, though, so that is a decent sign. We just had this crossover here, so we'll see if that trend keeps going. Meanwhile, the opposite for Tim Means. He is over his opponent, but trending down very consistently over his last 5 fights. Here are my projections, and then Holland has Means covered absolutely everywhere in this graph. That is pretty impressive from the Holland end of things. And here are the finishing percentages. We'll have to look at Computer Monk, probably right around 50-some%, if it goes the distance or not. Man, how am I playing this one? I think this one goes to decision. Kevin Holland scores 86 when he wins by unanimous decision. Tim Means scores 78. Both score less when they win by split. I'll probably be under on Holland and maybe a bit over on Means. That's 7,300. Like I said, this line seems way too wide. Means is 38 years old, though. That's the thing. 9 years, 8.5 years older than Kevin Holland. We're going to have to take all this into consideration. But Means only been, let's see, he has been finished 7 of 9 times. 7 of 12 times professionally, 4 of 9 in the UFC. Meanwhile, Holland 5 sub wins, Means 5 sub losses. I guess you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to play some Holland in GPPs and some Means as well, but less. I'm gonna be less on Means, even at 7,300. I just don't like that salary either. Man, Kevin Holland, can he get 2 in a row again? I think so. 38 years old from Means. I just think Kevin Holland might be just a bit quicker. We'll have to see how he fights in this one, though. I'm going to be less than the field, probably. I just don't trust it yet. Co-main event of the evening, guys. We are at 50 minutes. Let's go. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the Monk Maddox channel. Road to 300. You guys are killing it. Let's go. Donald Cowboy Cerrone going against Joe Lauzon. 8,300 for Cerrone. This is a rescheduled fight that should have happened about a month ago. Cerrone woke up on fight day with food poisoning is the story, and we lost him after the slate locked. So that was super fun. I'm sure you remember all of that. 3.22 points a minute. 98.65 when he wins. 2.64 points is what he gives up a minute. 99 when he loses. Really, I should have his last 5 because these numbers reflect his whole career, and that's not the Donald Cowboy Cerrone we are going to get on Saturday. I think this dude is spent. More spent than Joe Lauzon? Yes, more spent than Joe Lauzon. I absolutely think so. He's also 250 over his average salary, dude. There's no way I'm paying that. I don't think he scores 100 points in a win. I mean, unless he knocks out or finishes Lauzon in the first round, there's no chance he puts up any kind of decent score. Joe Lauzon, 2.94 points a minute, 100 when he wins. 3.58 is what he gives up, 97 when he loses, 220 under his average salary. Do I have their last 5 stats here? Anywhere? Oh, God, these are bad. Significant strike per minute differential in his last 5 for Cerrone, 2.5, negative. 1.98% control time differential over. I guess the stats for Lauzon are much worse. The strength of schedule is terrible for Joe Lauzon. But Cerrone, as you can see, I have an error under strength of victory because he is 0-5 in his last 5 against Moreno, Nico Price, Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, and even before that, we have losses. Joe Lauzon ripped off 3 of his own, Stevie Ray, Clay Guida, and Chris Grutzmacher, but got that win over Jonathan Pierce back in October 2019. Oh yeah, Joe Lauzon hasn't fought in almost 1,000 days. Donald Cerrone, 400 days. How are we playing this? As I scroll through the last, here are my projections. Here's the graph. Here's the finish rates. What are we doing here? 38 years old, 39 years old. I mean, 8,300, 7,900. Do you have to play these guys in GPPs? Do you think someone gets a finish? If I'm playing anyone in GPPs, God. I guess I'm playing Lauzon, maybe a bit of Cerrone. Man, I'm not playing either one in cash. I don't trust either of these, guys as far as I can throw them. I almost called them old men, but that's where I'm at. So, I guess maybe I don't really know what to say about this fight. Why is it happening? As my friend and co-host Lou would say, Lou Betya at Lou Betya on Twitter, there could be yam bags in this one because why is this fight happening? Man. I guess I'll just have a little bit of each in GPPs, not playing any in cash, not even a drop in cash lineups. I just don't know what to say about this fight. I will be interested to hear in what other content creators, that are betting on fights say about this one. I know Computer Monk has no action on this fight at all, whether it comes to money lines, distance props, inside the none. So I don't know what to expect. My gut tells me that Cerrone is more done than Lauzon, but these numbers for Lauzon are looking pretty bad. So I don't know what to expect, man. I mean, a win could knock either one of these guys out. Main event of the evening, guys. We did it just under an hour. Calvin Kattar going against Josh Emmett, and I probably should be taking Kattar in this one, but I'm just liking what I see from Emmett here. 8-2 in the UFC. $7,400. He's 667 under. His average salary scores 3.31 points a minute, 92 when he wins. His defensive pace is what is more impressive, though. 2.11 points a minute is all he gives up. Third best on the card. 75 is all he gives up when he loses. Second best number as well on the card. Calvin Kattar, $8,800, has made the optimal in 1 out of his last 2 fights, which was obviously not Max Holloway. It was against Giga Chikadze. 2.8 points a minute, 97 when he wins, pretty good numbers, but allows the opposite of Emmett, 3.2 a minute and 120.5 when he loses. This is averaged over 3 UFC losses. That's a huge, huge number. He's also 750 over his average salary. Average value, though, of just under 10. So you do have some pretty big upside here. He landed 144 strikes against Giga Chikadze. Knocked him down once, landed 2 takedowns as well, 15% control time, scored 121. But, I mean, Josh Emmett, I think Kattar probably wins this, but I just have a feeling that Josh Emmett is going to detonate something on Kattar, or at least, imagine this goes 5 rounds. We're going to see a few takedowns from, either of these guys. We're going to see some control time. We're going to see some huge, huge punches, maybe a knockdown. This might be one to stack, honestly. This might be one to stack. Kattar, the much better striker, only lands 0.24 points a minute in takedowns and control time, and most of that was probably in his last fight against Chikadze, who he just had his number. Emmett scores 0.57 points a minute in takedowns and control time, allows hardly any. This one's probably going to be a striking affair, honestly. And if that's the case, man, both of these guys can land over 100 strikes, maybe get a little bit of control time, a takedown here and there, maybe a knockdown for 10 points. Josh Emmett, look at this in his last 5. Knockdown, 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 2 knockdowns, knockdown, 6 knockdowns in his last 5 fights. 3 of them have ended in KO TKO. And he did lose one of those. So 6 knockdowns in 5 fights. Yeah, what's this guy's power index? Oh, just the highest on the card. 2.14 points a minute. Calvin Kattar has yet to be knocked down in the UFC. Very interesting there. This is going to be a banger fight, man. Josh Emmett with a bad strength of schedule. It's bad. It's not even 70 in any category. Strength of defeat is in the 60s because he lost to Jeremy Stephens. Oof. You lose to Jeremy Stephens, that's going to look bad on your strength of schedule, bud. No offense, Jeremy. I don't make the fucking rules here. 3-2 is Kattar in his last 5. Pretty good there. Obviously, the Holloway lost, which completely ruined his stats for life. He got 445 bombs dropped on him. 445 in 25 minutes. That's 17.8 strikes per minute. 17. His only other loss in his last 5 to a guy named Zabit Magomedsharipov. Maybe you've heard of him. Going to be Dr. Zabit pretty soon. Raw DraftKings points per minute under his opponents, but trending up ever so slightly. Actually, it's pretty much a straight line. Opponents are trending up. But like I said, Max Holloway fucked this dude's stats up forever. Josh Emmett, well over his opponents and trending up. Here are the fight projections, much higher for Josh Emmett, as you would probably expect. Real estate for the DraftKings visual statistical recap is pretty close. Bit higher of a win percentage for Josh Emmett. And then the grappling points sticking out as well. And then the UFC career finishing percentages. CM Monk probably thinks this one goes to decision. I tend to agree with him, but man, Josh Emmett could just drop a bomb at any time. Even Calvin Kattar has a damn good power index, 0.66. So he has some knockdowns, 1, 2 in his last 5 fights. It's not 6, but it is definitely better than 0. How am I playing this one? I guess Kattar in cash and Emmett in GPPs. No, both in GPPs for sure. I'll probably be higher on Emmett, though, to be quite honest. Maybe 35% Emmett, maybe 25% Kattar, depending on how salaries shake out. I just have this feeling. I just have a feeling. I don't know. That's all it is. That's why Computer Monk exists, to take feelings and bias out of things, because a lot of times that is wrong, as I'm sure you are well aware. I like Emmett, though. I'm picking him as the underdog. Love Kattar love to watch Kattar. I hope we get 25 minutes, so this is going to be super enjoyable for as long as possible. So yeah, Kattar GPPs, Emmett GPPs more than Kattar, and then Kattar probably in cash a little bit as well, just to do the sensible thing. Guys, that is gonna do it. We did it under an hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds so far. Thank you so much for sticking around. Actually, before I forget, let's go back to that fucking screen and let's get over to CM Monk's picks here. Lots of decisions he sees. Only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 finishes, according to CM Monk. 1, 2, 3. 9 decisions in a row, according to him. So, and a decision in the main event. If that main event goes to decision, stack that boy. I might be stacking that boy this week. Let's start. Phil Hawes, Roman Dolidze underdog pick, Cody Stamann, Ricardo Ramos, Gloria de Paula, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Jeremiah Wells underdog pick, Yanez, Rodrigues, Ismagulov, Duraev, Means underdog pick. Interesting. Cerrone and Calvin Kattar. Phil Hawes by finish, Duraev finish, Means finish, and Cerrone by finish. Wow, that would be probably a sub then. I would hope. So yeah, all the rest decisions. 10 decisions from Computer Monk. My goodness. So hopefully some of them are exciting. We got 3 underdogs here. Absolutely love. I like those picks. I like Roman Dolidze. Who else? The Wells pick is not bad. It could be interesting. Yanez, Rodrigues, Ismagulov over Kutateladze, but we don't have many stats for Kutateladze. Duraev is a good, decent. Tim Means over Holland is interesting. I like these picks. So there you have it, guys. That is going to do it. As we switch back, thank you so much for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to that 300 mark in the next couple of weeks. That would make my whole summer. What else? TeamRiserFall.com. Save yourself $10 with the code MONK, M-O-N-K. Get on over there now and start taking down some contests, whether it's MMA or any other sport you could possibly imagine that has DFS. We've got guys and gals over there chatting about it 24 hours a day. Code MONK, M-O-N-K, TeamRiserFall.com. Check out the MMA engine as well. You guys just killed it. We just hit our 1,000 subscriber mark, so thank you a ton. Let's see what else is coming up. Pub Sports Radio. I got on Wednesday night the DraftKings show with me, Brady, Wheezy, and Gordo. So that is fantastic. Be sure to check that out. I've got Salary Voodoo coming. I've got Supreme Clientele coming out. Tons of stuff this week for UFC Austin. It's, like I said, going to be a banger card. Let's get some money this week and stack them high. So guys, as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.